So when I moved out here, some people thought I died. Some people thought I died. Well, I've been coming out Duckwater since I was in my 20s because I worked with Virginia's brother, Joe. So me and Virginia, we've known each other, for really a long time before I came out. But anyway, I was out here and then fell in love with her, and then I stayed. She was working here and she wanted a mural put in the gym because the gym was just blank. All the walls were blank. There it is. It was always my idea to use people's photographs and to use the landscape here. I mean, just the two basics. I took pictures, I did some sketches, and then I broke it down into grids and then enlarged it. This mural's taken a beating over the years, but still there.
I first met Jack Malott about a decade ago when I was working on an exhibition on contemporary Native artists of the Great Basin. I made the long distance journey from Reno to Duckwater to visit him in his studio.
After I left Reno, I was homeless. I had no address, the only people that get a hold of me had to go through my mom. She knew where I was, but she just knew where I was. She didn't know my numbers or any of that because I didn't have it. And a little kid's drawing. See, I let little kids play around. I did some teaching with the kids over at the county school, doing little drawing workshops, that kind of stuff. But mainly I was just doing artwork out here. I bought this trailer and then now I got more room, but still doesn't seem like enough, just get more junk. I got paintings there, old ones, some of them real old. Then I have my books and things in here. I have a bunch of different books and I like going through them, it gives me ideas.
Traveling to Duckwater is quite an undertaking from Reno. It's probably about a 5-hour drive. And I just recall, you travel to Eureka and then you essentially leave the paved road. Visiting Duckwater is absolutely incredible. It's very, very remote, but it's also incredibly beautiful. For Jack, living and working in a place that's so important to him, but it's also not only about him, but his culture and the culture of his ancestors, you definitely see that emerge throughout all of his work.
I don't like being boxed in. That's why I do a lot of different techniques. I don't want to be known as a silk screener, or as a painter, or somebody who does line drawings, or just somebody who does landscape. I want to be able to just go any direction I want. And then another thing I don't like is when Indians put their title on there and then they put their tribal name on it, what tribe they came from. It shouldn't matter. It should be just their name. And when they do that, I think it puts them in a box because they expect you to do Indian stuff. Then people expect that and don't want to look at you doing other things. If you want to go abstract, or if you just want to do photorealism of a coffee cup or whatever, it should be just whoever the artist. It shouldn't be boxed in as Native American. I just draw wherever I happen to be at, which this time it was in Susanville, and that's what I would do.
There are lots of artists working in the Great Basin. But Jack is unique because although when you first meet Jack, he's very quiet and soft-spoken, his work speaks very loudly. Jack's very engaged in a lot of the important issues and political conversations that are taking place in Nevada related to our state's land use.
You know, you got all these mining and you got water and you got politics fighting and you had Indian rights and, you know, all these things. And I've done drawings on all that stuff over the years, working with Shoshones and working with people down there in Las Vegas, different people, and they're all struggling. I started doing more landscapes when I first came out. Just basic landscapes, just doing stuff. But this is, you know, I have more time by myself out here. So I spend it drawing or printing or doing my little projects I got all over the place. And gotta have projects when you live out here. It's a must. You don't have distractions. You can't run out and go look at something, you know. I used to just drive out out there somewhere and drive around. That was my only inspiration for a while. Yeah, well, that's the housing and that's the daycare over there, but they closed it down because of politics and not enough kids. I mean, nobody comes out here to look at artwork. So, you know, that's why I have so much, I just stack it up. I've been doing it I don't know how many years. I've got a ton of work. A lot of it's never been seen. I just do it and put it away. Because I don't know what's good and what's bad, you know. I just do it and just hoping it's okay. You know?
And you know, it's interesting because Jack, he did study at California College of the Arts in the San Francisco Bay Area in the 1970s. So he's definitely been exposed to the art world. He understands what it means to be a professional artist, but he also has this great way of walking inside and out of different worlds. You know, you definitely see that sense of humor and also that, you know, oftentimes very harsh critique come out through the work that he makes.
But I'm also able to put in a political little jabs and things here and there by putting a logo on there in my back where and I got a lot of different logos, you know, like Pesky Redskins design or Heathen Nation design. See, these are some of the logos I have. Colonized Mind designs. I got a bunch of those kind of things. But I do that kind of stuff just to keep that. Just have people ask, Heathen Nation, what does that mean? Well, there's nothing wrong with being a heathen, check it in the dictionary, you know. You know, I listen to people too. I met this old lady from Fort Hall, and she was telling me this story about when the white people first moved there and the Indians were there. They were all curious because these white people built houses with windows in it. And they were real curious, so the Indians go down there and look in the windows at night or whatever, see what they're doing. And then she said in the newspaper, it would say these, some kind of savages, I forget what it was, wretched savages were looking in the windows. That's what it said in the paper. And she was telling me this, and I said, oh, that's cool. So then I did a little drawing for my logo on the back of a shirt called Wretched Savages. People say, why did you call yourself Wretched Savages Productions or printing? And then I tell them that story.
About 10 years ago when I got to know Jack, I realized that because of his remote location, he probably didn't have access to, paper.
This top drawer is stuff I'm working on. I'm gonna cut these up because the paper is really ugly. It just crumbles. Biggest obstacle is getting something to print on, especially paper. I can get fabric sometimes. If I go to Elko, I can get fabric, but I can't get any paper, good paper. So either I have to go to Vegas or Reno for good paper, or I order it over the internet, but I don't like doing it like that because I like to feel the paper.
So I would start to actually send him these large rolls of paper. I knew if he would start to work with that paper, he would make large format work that would be more appropriate for a museum setting. He tends to create these really large format pieces that have very complex narratives and complex backgrounds.
They had an art show a while ago, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and it was through Ann Wolfe. And it was a group show with a bunch of different people in it. And then that's kind of like how I started with them.
In 2012, we commissioned Jack to make a new artwork for an exhibition called The Way We Live. And he chose to make an artwork that sort of honors the legacy of Carrie and Mary Dan. The Dan sisters were important Shoshone leaders living and working on their cattle ranch in eastern Nevada. They were involved in very controversial grazing rights controversy with the US government and the Bureau of Land Management that took away their grazing rights. And they became really leaders of the Shoshone community. Jack made an incredible work called Taking the Spirit Out of Mount Tanabo, and the piece shows Carrie and Mary Dan in the upper portion of the artwork, and it is a beautiful landscape with Mount Tanabo in the background, and then there's these large triangular forms that seem to pierce into the earth. And for Jack, you see those forms appear in quite a lot of his art, and those kind of represent the intervention of non-native influence. And so in this case, it would be perhaps the large-scale open-pit gold mining that takes place in eastern Nevada, and sort of the contradictions that occur with the two different types of usage of federally managed lands.
There is this wonderful piece in our collection titled The End from 1983, and it's a watercolor and ink on paper. It depicts the future where annihilation could come by way of nuclear weapons. And he has all these nuclear warheads pointed toward the earth, and it looks like the land could be Nevada test site land, which in fact is Western Shoshone land.
That I just went to a show not too long ago where they brought out an old piece that they bought from me a long time ago, in 81 or something like that. And it was about atom bombs. Ronald Reagan was talking about putting MX missiles out here in central Nevada, big complexes all over, missiles everywhere. And so I did a drawing about that, and the museum bought it. This was years ago, 30 years ago or so. And then this last show, they brought it out of wherever it was.
What I find very interesting about his work is that he uses some traditional symbolism, but he also makes it with his own particular flair on it. He's not just speaking to, a small population, say Western Shoshone, Washoe audiences. He's speaking to a broader audience.
Well, my art, I've always just tried to please myself. It's just who I am.
For an artist to achieve mastery in their work, it requires a lifetime of making art, a lifetime of looking at art, a lifetime of practice.
The museum has been committed for a long time to engaging with all of the artists in our region, but Jack in particular has a voice that reaches beyond just Nevada. He's looking at issues and grappling with challenges that are significant around the globe.
He has achieved a certain level where everyone knows who he is, everyone knows his style, and yet he still continues to surprise us.
I like those creative jobs, But then I've been in other jobs where I just use a shovel. You know, those are the temporary ones. But it's who I am. I can't see myself doing anything else. Every time I'm around something, my mind clicks, and all I want to do is just draw. Just isolate myself somewhere and just do it.